What's going on, Washington fans? We had some unfortunate breaking news today, and this season has been riddled with a ton of bad injuries around the league. I mean, if you just look at some of the big names across the league, there's a lot of people out for the season. Aiden Hutchinson recently added to that after breaking his leg. It's just been a crazy NFL season with injuries. And then Washington has been one of the more healthier teams, knock on wood, thankfully. But in the Ravens game, apparently defensive tackle Jonathan Allen tore his pec. You could really see it on the play. That was a touchdown to Derrick Henry. Didn't look like anything crazy, just a simple block. And then as he's falling down to the ground with the lineman, I forgot who it was, you can see he just reaches over and grabs his pec muscle. And from what I've seen, from what I've been reading and stuff like that, it's not just a pec injury. It is a significant, like it sounds like it is not good at all. And honestly, this was my fear once I heard that I was a pec injury. Like those can be really bad. I mean, sometimes they're almost always season ending. There's a couple times where you can kind of salvage it. And apparently Washington had high hopes, didn't think it would be too bad, but then it turned out to be the worst case scenario. Like it's really bad. And a lot of fans, of course, have been hard on John Allen and Deron Payne. But it just blows my mind how much I see on social media right now, people saying good or it's not that big of a loss, it's whatever. I just don't understand that mindset, like how you can think that way. For a team that's rebuilding or rebuilt, we're still in the process, but we're farther along than we thought we'd be. But a team that's playing so well, you should be bummed out that you just lost one of your leaders on the defense, and say what you want production. Like, oh, he hasn't had the sacks in the last, few years that we've been hoping for. In my opinion, just going back and watching the tapes and watching these games, of course, the Ravens game was bad. The whole defense was bad. I think Dante Fowler had a couple, good pass rushing snaps. Like Sam still got his interception, but there just wasn't too many defensive plays where I'm like, holy smokes, this guy like stands out on tape. Like the defense as a whole was just bad. It was just a bad game. But after scouting and watching that Arizona game and in the Cleveland Browns game, it seemed like John Allen was really starting to get things going this season. Those were the best two games this season so far through 6 games. And like I said, the Ravens game, no one played well. On defense, no one played well. But those 2 games, it seemed like he was really getting comfortable in the defense. He was starting to get those pressures in the backfield. He was starting to get sacks. And in my opinion, it is unfortunate because I'm going to talk about now what you have to rely on. But John Allen finishes the season right now. He had 14 solo tackles, which is 7th in the league out of all D tackles. Pretty dang good for someone who is not playing well, according to fans. And he had 2 sacks, which is tied for 16th in the league with D tackle. So realistically on pace for what? 6, maybe 7. You just don't know how the season would play out. But to me, it's just unfortunate because this is a team who is playing very well and has a good chance of winning the NFC East, has a good chance of making the playoffs, as crazy as that sounds. I think Deron Payne has been playing better than a lot of people think he has. PFF has him ranked 35th out of 120 D tackles in the league. John Allen was 80th at the time. I know it does not sound good, but now you're taking him out and you're relying on guys like Mathis, who Dan Quinn name dropped and said that, he's a guy that they're going to lean on. And then, of course, Johnny Newton, Jerzon Newton. This is a guy that a lot of people didn't even want to draft. But I love Johnny Newton. I'm excited to talk about him. But you're taking out one of these veteran pieces, a guy that can help make sure that guys are where they need to be on the D-line and, not giving up the big plays, not giving up big runs. Even if it's not like sacks, it's still just having that veteran presence on the D-line. And you still have Deron Payne, but it still sucks that you're missing that for the rest of the year and you're replacing it with some younger guys. Mathis, who, had these injuries. This is what, his 3rd year? I can't even remember. With us, and just doesn't have a lot of experience. When did we draft him? 2022. Just doesn't have a lot of experience. And now you're putting him there. And then also rookie Jerzon Newton, who really got a late start because he had that surgery on his foot, on the opposite foot of one he already had his surgery on. And I think things are going to get going with him as well. They're started to, move him around. They've already started to rotate snaps. But Jerzon Newton's only had 117 snaps this year. And Fedarian Mathis has only had 127 snaps this year. Deron Payne's had 241. John Allen's had 229. So like half the snaps. So now what does that gap look like going from John Allen to those two guys? And Efe Obada is another guy who just came back. He has that interior outside flexibility to where you could play him inside a couple times. I think they'll move some things around. I've already seen flashes out of Mathis this season. I've already seen flashes out of Newton this season that I like. But you cannot afford to have these big plays up the middle, or it's just like it just seemed like the D-line scratched the Ravens game. The Cardinals and the Browns game, the defensive line was finally doing its job, finally getting to the quarterback, stopping the run, great gap integrity. It just seemed like everyone was doing their job. Everyone was doing what their responsibilities were. But now you take that out and you replace that, and you just have to hope you don't see a gap. Because I don't want to come back to this and like, you better appreciate what you have before it's gone. If there is a giant gap from John Allen to Newton and Mathis, fans are going to look stupid. The ones that are like, good, I'm glad he's out, whatever, it's not that big of a loss. You better appreciate what you have while it's healthy and while it's playing, because it could go bad. It could go bad. And I hope it doesn't. And like I said, as an Alabama fan, I loved Mathis, Big Phil. But also, I was higher on Jerzon Newton, Johnny Newton, whatever you want to call him, than anybody. I love Johnny Newton. Absolutely love Johnny Newton. I had him as the best defensive player in the entire draft last year. I remember sitting there watching the draft, and I was like, there's no way he's still on the board. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if Washington picked Newton, because that is just the kind of guy that Dan Quinn would love to have. High motor, just this guy from a D tackle position took over games in college. Like, you popped on the Illinois tape. I know they have great DBs. They're always pumping out, safeties and corners. But this guy was a wrecking ball from the DT standpoint when it came to pressures, stopping the run, sacks, tackles for loss, all of that. Jerzon Newton was one of the best in the last 5-6 years. So good. I even had one of our offensive linemen DM me on Twitter right after the pick and was like, holy shit, what a steal. We really just got that guy. They never played against each other in college, I don't think. I'll go back and look, but I don't think so. This guy didn't play in the Big Ten. But people were underestimating how good he really is. And we haven't seen it yet. He's still a rookie. It's coming. But I think once he finally gets there, I'm not kidding. I think Jerzon Newton could be the face of this defense in the future. I think him and Sainristil could be those future guys that you're like, all right, we're still building this defense. We need to get corners, obviously. How long is Jeremy Chin going to be here? I think Quan Martin's a good spot at safety. Linebacker spot, you got Louver for a while. How long is Bobby going to be around? Then you have, McGee coming up, and then you have the D line's going to be moving some pieces. Maybe we add some edge rushers, in the draft or the off season. There's still a lot of unknown pieces. Hell, we might get 2 corners, honestly. We probably should. 2 outside corners. But I think when you're looking at the future 2-3 years from now on this defense, I think we're going to look back and be like, Sainristil and Newton are the 2 guys that this defense revolves around. Newton is that guy just at the quarterback's throat every play, stopping the run, getting off his blocks, just very disruptive on the D line. I think we're gonna see that coming up soon. I think it's coming. But still, for this season, losing John Allen sucks. And people are saying, oh, well, I wanted to trade him anyways, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you did want to trade him, it's not going to happen now. There's no point in really trading him at the trade deadline. He's out for the season. It's a very serious injury. First off, I think there was only a 5% chance we were going to trade him anyways. This coaching staff and this team loves John Allen. Like, way more than the fans do. This team, like, from what I've heard and just seeing how they talk about this man, they love John Allen a lot. Like, they are bummed about this. And they should be. And I think more fans should be bummed about this. I don't think there was a chance at all that we were going to trade him. I really don't. And then you want to look at contracts, like, okay, what does that even look like? He's a free agent in 2026. If you were to trade him anyways, right now, you would take a $6 million dead cap. You'd save $15 million this season. We have a ton of money. And we have a ton of draft picks. So I'm just confused on, like, what is the reason for trading him? This is a really shitty draft. I'm going to say that till April. This is a really bad draft. There's some good players in it, and you're going to find some diamonds in the rough after the first round. But overall, this is a bad draft. And we already have a ton of picks. And we also had like the second most cap space right now. So, like, what do we need the money for? What do we need the picks for? I don't think there was a chance of us trading him. I think there's a couple players we could trade. But I just don't. For me, like, that was not ever a possibility. That, to me, that it wasn't going to happen. And then say 2025, if it's a pre-June 1st trade, you take a $6 million dead cap, but you save $17 million. Like, he's a $23 million cap hit next year. Just let it ride out. What's the point of trading him? You get him next year, then he's a free agent in 2026. He either goes somewhere else or, he signs like a veteran-esque deal here. He'll be, 31, almost 32 at that time? Like, and I get it. These are big numbers. Like, you paid him a lot. But with the way the market's changing, like, we got in those deals at a great time. Deron Payne and John Allen. So it just doesn't make sense to me, like, why we would have even traded him in the first place. But if you did want to trade him, it's not happening now because no team that's trading for him would get anything out of him until next season. You have no idea what he's going to look like. So that's off the table. If you wanted to trade him, there's no way it's happening now. Now we look towards 2025. He's gonna play here next year. I don't know what to tell you. He's gonna play here next year. I'm sorry for the fans that just don't like John Allen for whatever reason. But he's gonna play here next year because there's no point in trading him. First off, I don't think anyone's gonna want him with his pec injury because you don't know what you're getting. And if they do, it's not going to be worth trading for. Like, do you see what I'm saying? We have a ton of picks. We have a ton of money. We need good players. And when John Allen plays well, he's a good player. And you can't sit here and say he's not, because people in the league respect the hell out of John Allen. People that play against John Allen respect John Allen. People that play next to him respect him. People love this guy. Like, he is a good player. Just because he doesn't have all the sack numbers that you want, all the tackles for loss that you want, I get it. But this was a new defense so far. And I really saw him coming to his own in the Arizona and Cleveland game. So now it's Mathis and Newton and a little bit of Obata. In my opinion, I want as much Newton as possible. As much as possible. I want him lined up right next to Deron Payne. Right next. I mean, the whole time. That's what I want. I think Newton could be a big-time piece. And this is why you draft him. First off, you just drafted the best player on the board. And he was the best player on the board by a mile. And I loved seeing how they reacted in that little, the Commanders video that they did showing the draft room and how they reacted to drafting him. I loved seeing that because they were so excited to get him. They're like, we could not believe he's still on the board. They wanted Johnny Newton so bad. So did I. I said, I will take it. Because you're building for the future. You just draft good players. That's my formula. It's no, oh, we need a corner here. We need this guy here. Just draft the best players available. And it'll work out. And you never know, they might contribute for you. And you might have to rely on them for the remainder of the season because you just lost John Allen. So that's why you drafted Johnny Newton. And I'm excited to see what he does. But this is a big blow that you lose a leader and a key guy on the defensive line. Dan Quinn said today it's a massive loss because John Allen, he is rare. That's pretty bold. So I know fans don't respect him as much as other people do, but I think this is a big loss, and I'm keeping an eye on how this defensive line looks because, like I said, you better appreciate what you have while it's here, because if there's a drop-off, I'm going to be looking at some of y'all like, you said this wasn't a big loss. What happened? Now, I pray to God it doesn't happen. I don't want to have to do that. I want Newton to plug in and be productive and show me exactly what he did at Illinois because it was beautiful. So I appreciate y'all watching this quick video, but John Allen's out for the season. Next man up. That's the mentality. Hit that subscribe button and hit the like button while you're at it and drop your comments below. Got a lot more content on the way for y'all. Have a good one.